The wedding hall sparkled with gold accents and floral arrangements, and the air was thick with the scent of roses and celebration. Guests mingled, champagne glasses clinking, laughter echoing off the high ceilings. Among them, a girl named Vanessa held a smug expression as she whispered to her friends about the bride's childhood friend, Tiana, who was standing quietly nearby. Vanessa leaned in, her voice dripping with condescension. "Wow, Tiana, I didn't expect you to make it. And that dress? It's bold." Her friends giggled, enjoying the cruel display. Tiana's face flushed with embarrassment, but she stood tall, forcing a polite smile. She'd always been proud of who she was, but the humiliation stung. The bride, oblivious to the tension, laughed at a joke across the room. Vanessa, feeling emboldened, added, "I mean, really? Who dresses like that at a wedding?" Laughter erupted among her circle, echoing cruelly. Tiana's hands clenched at her sides, her mind racing as she fought to maintain her composure. She remembered all the times she had faced subtle and overt prejudice in her life, but this felt different, public, glaring, and designed to embarrass her in front of everyone. She felt the heat rise to her cheeks and for a moment wondered if she should retreat, hide, or cry. But then Tiana's gaze shifted. She looked at Vanessa and the group, noting every smug smirk, every whispered comment. A plan began to form in her mind. Not impulsive or vengeful, but calculated. Vanessa's arrogance had made one critical mistake. She underestimated Tiana. In the next few minutes, the balance of power would shift dramatically. Vanessa would soon realize that mocking someone is risky when you don't know the strength and resourcefulness of the person you're humiliating. Tiana took a deep breath and straightened her posture. The heat of embarrassment was still there, but it was quickly replaced by a sharp focus. She knew the room was full of curious eyes, all witnessing the subtle tension between her and Vanessa. But Tiana didn't flinch. She used the attention to her advantage. She approached the dessert table with a casual grace, but her eyes never left Vanessa. Slowly, she struck up a conversation with one of the bride's cousins, who had been watching the earlier exchange with awkward discomfort. Tiana's warmth and charm were magnetic, and soon, several guests gravitated toward her. People were laughing at her jokes, admiring her poise, and taking note of her style. Vanessa, noticing the shift, felt a knot form in her stomach. The whispers that had once surrounded her laughter were now directed at Tiana. Guests were complimenting Tiana's dress, her smile, her intelligence, everything Vanessa had tried to demean. She could feel the stares of people who had just been entertained by her mockery now turning toward the girl she had tried to humiliate. Tiana moved with confidence, her calm demeanor radiating strength. In a few subtle gestures, she turned the whispers of gossip into admiration. Each laugh that had once mocked her now highlighted her dignity and charm. Vanessa's friends shifted uncomfortably, realizing the tables had turned, and fast. By the time the bride came over to greet Tiana, her aura of grace and control had fully eclipsed the earlier humiliation. Vanessa's smirk faltered, replaced by a flicker of panic. The first crack in her confidence had appeared, and she could feel that the next moments would determine just how badly she would regret her actions. Vanessa's smug smile had vanished. She watched helplessly as Tiana effortlessly drew the attention of the room. Guests who had been snickering at her jokes were now praising Tiana's poise, elegance, and charm. The same people who had laughed at her cruel remarks were now captivated by the very girl she had tried to humiliate. Vanessa shifted uncomfortably, tugging at her dress, realizing that every glance cast toward Tiana carried admiration and intrigue. The whispers were no longer her allies. They had deserted her, echoing instead with compliments for the girl she had mocked. Panic bubbled inside her. For the first time that evening, she felt small, exposed, and out of control. Tiana, noticing Vanessa's unease, smiled politely at the bride and whispered a few kind words. Every gesture exuded confidence. Guests who had initially glanced at Tiana with doubt now saw a poised, radiant woman who carried herself with dignity. Her laughter was natural, her expressions warm, and her composure unshakable. Vanessa's friends exchanged uneasy looks. "What's happening?" one whispered, nervously. They had expected to dominate the attention, not watch Tiana outshine them effortlessly. Each compliment, each smile, each handshake Tiana offered chipped away at Vanessa's pride. By the time the couple called for a toast, the room's energy had completely shifted. Guests raised their glasses to Tiana as well, acknowledging her presence and charm. Vanessa's earlier cruelty had not only failed, it had backfired spectacularly. She glanced at Tiana, shame flooding her face. In mere minutes, the girl she had tried to humiliate had flipped the situation entirely. Vanessa's regret was immediate, piercing, and unavoidable. She had learned, the hard way, that mocking someone underestimated the power of grace, confidence, and resilience. The toast ended, but the tension between Vanessa and Tiana had only grown. Vanessa could no longer hide her discomfort. Her earlier arrogance was completely gone. Tiana, on the other hand, radiated calm authority. She moved through the crowd, effortlessly engaging guests, laughing warmly, and sharing stories that highlighted her intelligence and charm. Vanessa tried to interject at one point, attempting to regain control, but her words fell flat. Guests had already shifted their attention. Their smiles and nods followed Tiana, not her. Every attempt Vanessa made to reclaim dominance was met with polite but firm dismissal. The realization hit her like a wave. She had underestimated Tiana, and now there was no way to undo the damage. Tiana's confidence wasn't just in her words, it was in her presence. Even the bride noticed, giving Tiana a warm nod of approval. It was clear who had become the center of attention and who had lost all credibility. Vanessa's friends quietly exchanged glances, their earlier laughter silenced by the undeniable truth. Tiana had won the room. The humiliation that Vanessa had aimed at Tiana now ricocheted back toward her. She felt the sting of embarrassment as she recognized the irony. She had tried to make someone else feel small, only to shrink herself in the process. Every smirk she had worn, every cruel word she had whispered, now felt hollow against the reality of Tiana's effortless grace. Tiana approached Vanessa with a gentle, almost forgiving smile. "I hope you're enjoying the wedding," she said sweetly. Vanessa's jaw tightened, and for a moment, she wanted to shrink into the floor. The power had shifted completely. In just 10 minutes, Vanessa's arrogance had crumbled, leaving her to face the consequences of underestimating someone truly remarkable. By the time the evening wound down, Vanessa's earlier confidence had vanished entirely. She lingered on the edges of the celebration, unable to reclaim the spotlight she had thought was hers. Every guest she passed seemed to carry an unspoken admiration for Tiana, whose elegance and charm had captivated everyone. The room's energy had completely shifted. Tiana, meanwhile, moved with ease. She laughed and conversed effortlessly, leaving a trail of positive impressions behind her. Her grace and composure had not only neutralized Vanessa's humiliation but had turned it into a lesson for everyone in the room. Guests whispered to each other, praising Tiana's strength, confidence, and poise. Even those who had initially sided with Vanessa now viewed her cruelty as petty and insignificant. Vanessa watched helplessly, a deep pang of regret settling in. In just a few short minutes, she'd gone from the one controlling attention to the one everyone pitied silently. She realized the truth she had ignored. Mocking others never elevates yourself, and underestimating someone can backfire spectacularly. Before leaving, Tiana approached the bride one last time, offering heartfelt congratulations. Her presence lingered in everyone's minds, a reminder that resilience and confidence are far more powerful than arrogance and cruelty. Vanessa's earlier attempt to demean her had only highlighted her own weaknesses. As the night ended and guests began to leave, Vanessa found herself reflecting on the evening. The sting of her mistake would remain for a long time. Tiana had shown, without anger or revenge, that strength and dignity always leave a mark. Vanessa's regret was complete, a lesson seared into her memory. Never humiliate someone without knowing their true character. And Tiana? She walked away with her head held high, her spirit unshaken, and a quiet triumph that no insult could ever touch. Thank you so much for watching this story till the end. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe even learned something from it. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, full of life lessons, drama, and emotions, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss an update. Your support means the world, and it helps me keep bringing you more inspiring and unforgettable stories. Stay tuned because more amazing stories are on the way.